So this is a pleasure to introduce this Defense Day for you at Ryan Shun. This is the way we can say your name, yeah? Ryan Shun, okay. So I thank you all for the invitation, and I'm very pleased to chair this jury, PhD Defense jury. So first I would like to introduce the members of the jury. And, okay, so my name is Marie Laurent, and I'm professor at Télécom Paris. And we have two reviewers. One is remotely connected, Gilles Vrieken. So he's a tenured faculty in CISPA Helmholtz Center for Information Security. And we have another reviewer for the thesis, who is Hervé Bebard, professor at Télécom Paris. And we have several examinators. We have Pierre-Henri Weyman, an associate professor at Sorbonne University, Grégory Blanc, associate professor at Télécom Paris. Hi, Grégory. Frédéric Majorczyk, engineer at DGA-NI. Yeah, good. We have Yufei Han, senior researcher at INVIA. And we have Ludovic May, PhD director, senior researcher at INVIA. And also Pierre-François Jiménez, who is invited with this jury, and he is researcher at INVIA. Okay. So this is, we will give you the flow, and yeah, now you can start.
Okay, so thank you very much for coming here. Thank you for the jury, thank you for the reviewing committee, and thank you for the general audience if you are here or elsewhere connected via YouTube or via Microsoft Teams. Thank you very much for coming. So I am Adrien Schoen. I am going to present you my thesis, Network Traffic Generation for Evaluation of Intrusion Detection Tool. So this thesis was supervised by Ludovic May and Pierre-François Jiménez, Yufei Han, Grégory Blanc, and Frédéric Majorczyk. Thank you to them. Network Traffic Generation for Evaluation of Intrusion Detection Tool. I will first going to start by an introduction. Why do we want to generate synthetic traffic? Why do we want to evaluate the intrusion detection tool? And the global problematic in the domain. So first, a bit of global context. So the global context is an increased importance of cybersecurity. Our global digital economy relies more and more on secure communication, and cybercrime is projected to cost trillions annually by next year. And there is a global trend in the cybersecurity domain, both from industry and researcher, to move from passive cybersecurity, where we rely on prevention, to more reactive cybersecurity. Passive cybersecurity is judged essential but insufficient against evolving threats. So we have more need for reactive cybersecurity, where we detect and mitigate threats in real time, and where we implement robust and adaptive network security protocol. So one example of such protocol are network intrusion detection systems, and an issue that we have with network intrusion detection system is that we need to evaluate them, and so they need to be tested, and such evaluation requires network traffic data. And so there is a global need for network traffic data, and so what is network traffic? The traffic is the data exchange between devices in the network. It consists of packets, which are the basic unit of communication. And using real network traffic for NIDS evaluation can pose several challenges. So first, acquiring and sharing real network traffic can pose ethical and legal issues. So for example, here in Europe, we have the GDPR legislation that might prevent such a case. And also using real network traffic for evaluation of network intrusion detection system requires a labeling step that can be difficult and complex for real traffic. And so over the past few years, researchers have come along with the solution of, instead of using real traffic, we rather use simulation instead. And so in a simulation, instead of recording the traffic occurring between real user, we emulate the behavior of user using automaton in a testbed environment. And so because we record the traffic exchanged by automaton, those are not real users, so there is no privacy concern. But the problem with that is once the simulation is launched, the single repeating traffic is tied to predefined behaviors, and it is not scalable. So a more recent solution adopted by the community is the solution of synthetic traffic generation, where we use modeling algorithm to recreate traffic characteristics. This enables scalable and adaptable data generation, and so it is supposed to solve the issue posed by the simulation. And I have indicated here a global synthetic traffic generation pipeline, where we have the real traffic as input, and from this real traffic we train a model, and we get a model, and we generate the synthetic data directly from the model, and the resulting is synthetic traffic. And we see that the generation depends only on the model and not on the real traffic as input. And so a problem that we can have with this model is, with this workflow, is that there is a potential leakage of training data by the model, and so this is a global problematic in the field of synthetic traffic generation. So the global problematic in which my thesis takes place is this move from simulation toward synthetic generation for getting the traffic needed for the evaluation of security protocol. And in this move from simulation to synthetic generation, there is two main problems. The first one is to develop a synthetic traffic generation system that is able to replace simulation. And the second one is to test the performance of such system against simulation and to make sure to enforce the fact that, for example, we preserve some characteristic of the traffic while not leaking some private data. So if I reformulate this with a more simple word, the main question over my thesis was how to generate and evaluate synthetic traffic. So during this thesis, we delved into this question, but we made some necessary reduction of scope. And the first reduction of scope is that we only focused on generating benign traffic. We did not try to generate any kind of malicious or attack traffic. The reason for that is that in the pirate team, we already have some work that try to generate attack scenarios, and so we rather try to rely on those other work and other methods than on a specifically designed attack generation. So what those work were lacking is a good background traffic for the attack, and so this is why we kind of focus on benign traffic in this thesis. And another scope of this thesis is generating a specific subset of traffic, and this subset was a subset of network flow record. So a network flow is a sequence of packets sharing common features, so it can be source and destination IP addresses or source and destination ports. And here I gave you an example of network flow record, and we can see that those type of data are similar to tabular data, where each column is a different feature of the network flow, and each line is a different instance of the network flow. And the reason behind this reduction of scope, why did we want to generate specifically a network flow record? This is because it's a very popular format for network intrusion detection system. And so for this specific task of generating a benign network flow record, there were already some prior work. They used this similarity between network flow and tabular data that I talked prior, and they mostly focus on generative adversarial network, which is a technology built on neural networks that involves two neural networks, a generator and a discriminator. The generator generates new network flow, and the discriminator tries to differentiate between the generated network flow and the training network flow, and the two neural networks are trained simultaneously. And the problem with those actual solutions is that there is a difficulty to combine both the individual quality of an individual network flow and the preservation of temporal dependencies between the network flow. And so this is a specific topic that I have worked on 3 years. This specific sub-question is to try to achieve high-quality network flow that maintain temporal dependencies in the generation. And so for this, we first designed a benchmark that evaluates synthetic flow quality, because if we want to propose a novel generation method, we will have to compare it to the state of the art, and this requires an evaluation methodology. And so this was my first contribution. And after having developed the benchmark, I have developed a method to generate individual network flows, so independent network workflow, without taking into account the temporal dependencies. So for this, I have proposed Bayesian networks that surpass generative adversarial networks. And my third contribution was to implement the temporal dependencies, and this was done by using pattern mining technique in a contribution that is called Flow Chronicle. And so this is basically the plan of my following presentation, and we'll go over those 3 contributions. And afterward, I will make a quick conclusion word and present some potential future work. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So my first contribution was the evaluation step. How do we implement an evaluation methodology in order to assess the quality of generated network flow? So this is a kind of problematic question, because it is kind of difficult to evaluate the quality of data generation. So why evaluating data generation is difficult? It is because there is no correct output for generated data. It is not like, for example, when you do a classification, you can rely on ground truth in order to see if your model generates the ground truth. Here, we don't really have some ground truth, so it is way more shallow and way more abstract, the concept of good generation. And so for this, we saw that we have multiple evaluation criteria. We have multiple ways to say that network traffic is good. So the first one is realism. The generated network flow should resemble real-world traffic. The second one is novelty. The generated network flow should not be too close to the training network flow, and we can already see here a bit of a contradiction. We want to generate network flow that is as close as possible to real-world traffic, but we do not want to copy the input data, which is the only information about the real world given to the model. So here we see that not only the evaluation rely on multiple criteria, but some of those criteria can seem contradictory. Maybe there is a trade-off to find in the evaluation between realism and novelty. We have also diversity. We don't want to generate only a specific subset of traffic, but we want to cover the entire variability of real network behavior. There is also the utility, try to assess the quality of the network flow by seeing if it is useful in a downstream task, like for example anomaly detection or network classification. And there is also the compliance, try to see if the generated network flow adhere to some domain-specific rules. So for example, here, for us, it could easily be a network protocol specification. And so, right after having seen that we rely on multiple criteria for evaluating the quality of generated network flow, what we did is we went to the state of the art and tried to see how did the state of the art about generating network flow evaluate their results. And so here you have a table where each line is a different score, a different metric, and each column is a different criteria. And here is a column that see if the metric assess or not the temporal dependencies, the preservation of the temporal dependencies between the network flow in the generation. And here, at the last, in this column, you have the number of papers that use this specific metric. And so we see here, for example, that Jensen-Shannon divergence assess the matching between the marginal distribution of the generated feature and of the training feature. And so by doing that and by compiling all the different evaluation used in the state of the art, we also saw that some criteria are assessed on various levels. So for example, as I told you, we have the Jensen-Shannon divergence that will try to see the fit between the marginal distribution between the generated data and the real data, but other metric will try to see if, for example, I have dependencies between features in my training data, do I find this dependency back in my generated data? And other, so this will be the conditional distribution, and other metric try to see if I generate my generated network flow, does this generated network flow fit well into the training data manifold? And so this is more like a joint evaluation. And so we see that another difficulty here is that not only there is multiple criteria to assess, but there is also multiple levels of evaluating each criteria. And so when we did this compilation of the state of the art, we remarked some key issues in the way the generated data is evaluated. So some key shortcoming is that we see that there is a lot of papers that assess the fit between the marginal distribution and the fit between the joint distribution, but not many papers really concentrate themselves of searching if the generated data preserve the interfeature dependency. We see that there is only 3 papers that did that. There is also no evaluation of novelty, so no paper try to see if the generative method were leaking private data to the public. So I think we can agree that it is kind of a shortcoming. And also in the state of the art, there is no evaluation of the preservation of temporal dependencies. So no evaluation that our generation method preserve the sequential relationship between the few. So from this, we drew some requirements for benchmark for evaluating generative network flow. And so we decided to focus on 4 criteria: realism, diversity, novelty, and compliance. We overlooked the utility because, as demonstrated in the manuscript, it's a proxy of the above criteria. And from this also, we drew some requirements for complete evaluation, a good benchmark. And so a good benchmark should assess the 4 criteria prior. We should assess realism and diversity on the 3 levels I told prior, not overlook, so for example, conditional dependency. We should have metrics that evaluate those. We should also have metrics that have assessment of the preservation of temporal dependencies. And because the network flow is similar to tabular data, in the network flow we can have features that are discrete and continuous. So for example, the discrete could be the source port, and the continuous, it could be the duration of the flow. And we should have metrics tailored to both data types. And so this is when we present the proposal of a benchmark for the evaluation of synthetic network flow quality. And how did we get such benchmark? So we use the similarity between tabular data and network flow data, so that we might be able to pick metric from the synthetic table evaluation and apply it to our specific use case of generating network flow and evaluating them. And so we compile multiple metrics in order to fulfill our requirements. And so here we see the different metrics that we have chosen. And so we have, for example, a Jensen-Shannon divergence that look at the fit between the marginal distribution. And we see that Jensen-Shannon divergence, so it's applied on categorical features. And so in order to do the same for numerical feature, we applied Earth-Mother distance, for example, and we did a selection of multiple metrics in order to fulfill all our criteria. And we see in the end that we evaluate the four criteria. We have a pre-level evaluation, we assess temporal dependencies, and we have metric tailored for all the data types. And so this was our first contribution. This was the first exhaustive evaluation benchmark that take into account all the criteria. And this benchmark, when we will try to generate network flow, we will evaluate the quality of our generated network flow using all these metrics in this table, and giving this benchmark will facilitate fair and comprehensive model comparison. And so now that we know on which metric we can evaluate the synthetic traffic, we might want to pursue our study by trying to propose the method to generate a synthetic network flow. And so for this, we decide to rely first on Bayesian networks for generating individual network flow as the first step. And so here I am going to talk to you a bit about Bayesian network and how we can model network flow using them. And so Bayesian networks represent data distribution using directed acyclic graph. They are composed of two elements, the node that will represent the features and the edge that will represent the dependencies between the features. And here I give you an example for a network flow. We see here the various features of network flows, of a network flow dataset, and it is represented as a Bayesian network where each node is the features, and the different arrows that you see here, the different edges, are dependencies among the features. And so the overall idea is you have a NetFlow dataset, you learn a Bayesian network to learn the different dependencies between those features. And for each dependency, you also compute a conditionality probability table. And here I give you an example where you have the conditionality probability table of destination port given the value of the protocol. So the conditionality probability table of a node given its parents. And the goal here is also to learn the various probability inside the dataset. And once we get the different dependencies and the conditional probability table associated to each of those dependencies, what we can do is just sample a new value from the marginal of the root node, so here it is protocol, and deduce all the other values of the features using the Bayes rules in order to compose new instance of network flow. And so, but the problem is that this will only give us independent network flow that are independent from each other, and we might think like, why do we want to do that? We already said that we need to preserve the temporal dependencies between the flow. So the reason was it was a foundation before addressing the problematic of temporal dependencies. And for this specific problematic, GANs are widely used, but they have some problems. They struggle with the inter-feature dependency. They have high computational costs, whereas the Bayesian networks are efficient, explainable, and they are tailored to handle inter-feature dependencies, conditional dependencies. And also they have proven success in similar tasks in other domains. So for example, when we try to generate patent data in the medical domain. And so the research question of this part is that, okay, so for this specific task of generating synthetic network flow, are BNs preferable to GANs in terms of quality and computational cost? And so in order to solve this question, what we did is that we pick multiple Bayesian network, we put multiple GAN-based methods, we train them on the same dataset, we generate new synthetic dataset using each of those methods, and we compare the dataset with the evaluation methodology I talked about in the prior part. And so we see here all of the different metrics of our benchmark. In each column, we have a different generative method. Those two here are Bayesian network, and the three last are GAN-based method. And for each method and each metric, we have the score. And so instead of dwelling too much into the number, I have indicated in green the best model given that score, and in yellow the second best, and in red the worst. And we see that the Bayesian network columns gather a lot of green and yellow, so it is often the best or the second best. And on top of that, at the end, I have indicated the global ranking according to all the metrics, and we see that the two Bayesian networks are the two best methods. And so, according to that, we can conclude that BNs outperform GANs across all quality criteria. So we also want to see about the computing cost. So in order to have a statement about the efficiency of BNs, we have to look at the computing cost. How much does it cost in terms of computational power to train and generate network flow with Bayesian networks? And so Bayesian networks have a really fast training and sampling time, and they also have a reduced resource utilization, where generative adversarial networks have greater resource requirements. They need GPUs to train, and a longer training time as well as longer sampling time. So Bayesian networks are more efficient than GANs. And so in summary, what we found in this part is that we have talked about a Bayesian network implementation for generating synthetic network flow. We have done the comparison between GAN and BNs outperform GANs while being less computationally expensive. So BNs are more efficient than GANs. And we studied the impact of the size of the feature set in the dataset. If we try to increase the size of the feature set, does it change this comparison result? And what we found is that when we increase the size of the feature set, the GANs become more competitive. They produce higher quality network flow compared to Bayesian networks, but they are also slower. So the overall statements about the efficiency remains. BNs are preferable to GANs in terms of quality and computation cost. They are more efficient for this specific task. And so now that we saw how to generate efficiently individual network flow, we will see how to generate network flow while preserving the temporal dependencies, and this will be my third contribution. So there is a need in the generation to preserve the dependencies between the flow. So I am going to show you here an example. So we saw in the part earlier that Bayesian networks excel at generating individual network flow, but they miss the dependencies between the flow. What I mean by that is here I have given you an example of a network flow dataset, and I have highlighted in orange the two last flow. And when we look at those two last flow, we see that it is the same user that first made a DNS request and after made an HTTP request to a web server. And with basic network knowledge, we can infer the behavior that produces those two flows. It is users that try to access a web server whose domain name was not resolved in this cache, and so therefore had to first reach the DNS server to get the domain name resolved. And so those two network flows are really interdependent with each other. So they really depend on each other, and sampling such a substructure, such a pattern, such a sequence of network flow is almost impossible when we try to sample them individually with Bayesian network, as we did in the part prior. And so for this, we introduced Flow Chronicle that generates traffic by sampling patterns, and this work was developed in collaboration with Joscha Kuppers at CISPA in Germany. And so the research question of this part is, can we use Flow Chronicle to better preserve temporal dependencies in our generation? And can Flow Chronicle generate better quality flow than already existing methods? And so in order to respond to this question, I have to first explain you a bit how does Flow Chronicle model temporal dependencies. And so the idea is that it encodes those temporal dependencies in a pattern. And so what is a pattern? It is a frequently occurring substructure in a dataset. So I gave you here an example. So this sequence of flow will reoccur every time a new user tries to access a web server whose domain name is not resolved in this cache. So we might expect to see this sequence of network flow quite often in the network dataset. And so this is what we call the pattern. It is a recurring substructure in the data. And so what we try to do is try to model those patterns using a pattern language, and for this we will use two main elements. So first we have the sequence of partial flow description here on the left, and on the right we have the Bayesian networks. So the Bayesian network is the link with the part prior. Now the question is, how can we use those two elements to represent the temporal dependencies that we saw above? And so we see that for each occurrence of that network behavior, the first flow will always be a DNS request and the second flow will always be an HTTP. And so for this, we use in the second partial flow description a fixed cell, which means that each occurrence of those patterns will have those exact values for those flows, but what might vary between the various occurrences of that substructure is both who trying to reach an external web server and what web server is being reached. And for this, we use free cells that are encoded by the Bayesian network, and those will vary across different occurrences of that pattern. But we have one last relationship to encode in our pattern. It is the fact that the two flows have the same source IP, and for this we use a reuse cell that will take the value of the cell it is linked with. And here we see here beta A as a small index A, which means that the cell A will take the same value as beta A for all occurrences of the pattern. So using that language, we can encode such a sequence of relationship among multiple network flows, and this is what we call a pattern. And so now the idea is to find patterns in the dataset and use them to generate new data. And so, this is what I told you. The goal is to find a small set of patterns that summarize the data well. And so for this, we use a pattern mining principle that is called the minimum description length principle, that states that the best model, the best set of patterns, here a model is not weight and biases like in neural network, a model is really a set of patterns, the object that I told you prior. So the best set of patterns is the set of patterns that minimize the length of the model plus the length of the data according to the model. So this is the length of the model and this is the length of the data according to the model, and we also call that the encoding. And so we want to find the set of patterns inside the dataset that minimize distance. This will be our objective function. This will be the function that we will try to minimize during the training. And so now I will talk to you about, okay, how do we mine such patterns? So this is how we train the flow chronicle method. And so basically, it is a greedy search. We will try to find for all possible combination of patterns. And so in order to solve that greedy search and to search for the minimum, the minimum of the MDL, we will always be able to reach a local minima, and we will have to search for all possible combinations. And so this is an iterative search where we first initialize. The first initialization is with a model with an empty pattern, the pattern that defines everything. And after we have a step. For every step, we take the model at one time step, and in order to get the model at a subsequent time step, we take the pattern inside the model, we generate potential candidates in that model, and we test those candidates, all of those candidates, to see if they use the MDL score or not. And so the global iterative process is like that. We first initialize by a model with only an empty pattern. Afterward, we have for each step a model. We generate potential pattern candidates with that model. We see every pattern candidates do they reduce the objective score, which is the MDL score. We include them in the model for the next step if they manage to do so. And we continue until we reach a local minimum of the MDL function score. So here, the key part is the pattern generation. How do we, given a model with a set of patterns, generate new potential patterns that will grow our model and grow the cover of our model in our dataset? So we have two ways to do that. First, we pick an existing pattern and we generate a new candidate by adding a new row with a fixed value, or another, so this is the first option for generating a candidate. We pick a pattern inside the model and we extend it by adding a row with a fixed value, or we merge two existing patterns in the dataset, and that gives us a new new pattern, and this pattern will reduce the cost of the model overall. And so here we see the global function that grow the model iteratively in order to reduce the MDL score. At each step, we grow the model or we shrink it by merging existing patterns, and we do that iteratively again and again, and at the end, we reach a model that covers the dataset and summarizes the dataset well. Okay, so from this model, so from that set of patterns, we can now sample new network flow. And so how do we do that? First, we have a model that is a set of patterns. So we can sample the pattern from that model distribution. And now we have a pattern. The next step is to determine the different timestamp of the flow. And so for this, we generate the first timestamp. And so for this, we use a modeling algorithm that is called kernel density estimation over the timestamp distribution in the training dataset. And once we have the first timestamp of the first flow of the pattern, we generate the delays between each flow in the pattern using also kernel density estimation. And afterward, we just have to do the summation to have the timestamp of all the flow in the pattern. Once we get the first timestamp and all the delays between all flow, we can have all the timestamp for the pattern. And once we have the timestamp of the flow inside the pattern and the pattern itself, we can just fix the value for the different features of the flow. And so for this, for the fixed cell, we already have the value inside the pattern, so we already know what are the value for this specific feature. For the free cell, we can use the Bayesian network. And for the reduced cell, you can use the context-based value. And at the end, when we do that for every pattern that we want in our generated dataset, we have a synthetic dataset that is constructed from the same pattern, from the same temporal dependencies as the training dataset. And so this is how we preserve temporal relationship between the flow in our generation process. So now I will evaluate such methods. So I will first focus on evaluating the individual quality of the generated network flow. And so how can we do that? We will apply the same benchmark as I presented in the first part, and we will compare the generation of flow chronicle to the generation of other methods. So this is what I have done. We have here at each line the various metric of my benchmark, and at each column the various method used to generate traffic, and flow chronicle is at last. And same as prior, I have indicated in green the best method according to that specific metric. And we saw that flow chronicle is among the best method. And I have also indicated global rank to see that globally flow chronicle ranked very well. And but this is only for accounting the individual quality of the network flow. We also want to make sure that our generation preserve temporal dependencies. And so for this, we will apply two methodologies. The first one is we will generate data and we will look in the feature of the generated data. We look for their autocorrelation and see if they match the autocorrelation function in the training data. And so by comparing the two autocorrelation features, we'll try to compare the two temporal correlation inside the two datasets. And so we did that with all the methods, and we need to have difference of autocorrelation feature between the generated feature and the real feature as low as possible. And here we see flow chronicle is in blue on the right and is among the lowest for all of the methods. So we really well preserve the temporal dependencies. But so this method relies on autocorrelation function. It can only work with numerical features. And so for other features, we used another method that is called the TSTR methodology, train on synthetic test on real, where we use an autoregressive LSTM to try to extract temporal dependencies from the generated features and compare with the same kind of LSTM trained on the training features and compare the accuracy of the two LSTM on an evaluation set and the accuracy of the two of the two similar models that try to extract the same kind of feature should be as low as possible. and so here we see a difference in accuracy for various discrete features, and we see that Flow Chronicle is among the lowest of all the methods. So regarding those two metrics, we see that we really well preserve the autocorrelation function of the features, and it is really easy to spot the same temporal dependency using an autoregressive LSTM on our model, and so this is the way we assess that our generation really well preserves temporal dependencies. And so another way to assess the quality of our generated network flow is just to look at the generated data. How does it look like? And so what is interesting in our method is, because our generation rely on a pattern or sampling temporal dependencies already existing in a training pattern, we can try to see if those dependencies exist in the generated dataset. So here I have a subset of generated dataset generated by Flow Chronicle, and we can try to and we can see that there is the similar kind of pattern that I told to you prior. Users that try to access a web server whose domain name is not resolved in this cache, and I highlighted the corresponding network flow in orange. So here we can just see that the public IP are anonymized in this specific dataset, but the logic behind the preservation of the sequential relationship stays the same. And I just want to say that here we always see another part of the problem is that in this sequential relationship, the flows are not mandatory following each other. They can have multiple flows between the same sequential relation, and also pattern might also overlap between each other. And so it is really difficult to generate such temporal dependencies by just generating independent flow and expecting that we will be able to model such kind of sequential relationship. And so this model is our model is able to do specifically that. And another kind of pattern that we find in our generated data is a pattern of multiple HTTP requests to the same web server. When, for example, a user tries to access a web server and try to gather some different resources, for example, text, image, or video from the same web server, so it can create multiple HTTP requests, and this is the kind of pattern that we also found in our generated data. So Flow Chronicle not only generate good quality data, preserve the temporal dependencies, but also generate explainable patterns. So in summary, for this part, we saw that Flow Chronicle better preserves temporal dependencies, and we also can generate better quality flow than existing method. Some limitation is that Flow Chronicle has a long training and generation times due to the greedy search, and a potential future for future improvement is through parallelizing the generating and training process. So now I will conclude and present some potential future works. So what we saw today is 3 contributions. The first one is a benchmark for evaluating the quality of synthetic network flow. So this benchmark will allow fair comparison between different generative models. The second contribution was using Bayesian network to generate individual synthetic network flow. And so this, in this part we saw GAN limitation and proposed Bayesian network as an alternative. Those 2 contributions were presented at WTMC 2024. And lastly, we saw the temporal dependency preservation in the generation by using Flow Chronicle. And so this is a significant improvement over existing methods. And this contribution was presented at Connect 2024 when we were awarded the best contribution award. And so some limitation of our methodology is that there is the time-consuming nature of Flow Chronicle due to the research. It has really long training, and the sampling sequence of the pattern for the generation is also really long. And so we should try to aim at parallelized training and data generation to overcome this limitation. And also a limitation of this work is that we didn't reach a point where synthetic traffic could be a replacement for simulation. Simulation still holds some advantages, and we should address the future improvements outlined in proposed work. And so some potential future work direction. So the first one was try to explore new methodology, both for the generation and for the evaluation. So we could try to implement large language model for network flow generation, try to leverage the large language model for generating network flow. We already kind of addressed this problematic. We proposed some solution to some challenge like the contextual limitation and the termination issue. And another new methodology worth looking into is evaluating the privacy leakage more rigorously than we did. So this is more on the evaluation part. So just to remind you, in this thesis there were like two main questions: how to generate and how to evaluate. So for how to generate, I propose a new future work, a potential future work is to use large language model. But for how to evaluate, I think it is worthwhile to look into more rigorous privacy leakage assessment or novelty evaluation for the moment, only concentrate on really simple membership inference attack, but we already know that there exists more developed membership inference attack, and so in order to raise awareness in the community for training data reconstruction, we should propose a novelty evaluation that is robust against such advanced membership inference attack. And so we could also think in the second time about some real-world applications. So I think that the presentation of yesterday was really about the problematic of the datasets and some issue in the dataset. And so I think that a good way to anchor synthetic traffic as an alternative to simulation is to propose the dataset to the research community. So the work that I have been presented yesterday about spotting some problem and spotting some issue in the simulated dataset, the research community could do the same on synthetic traffic, and so raise awareness over some potential issues that the generating traffic community didn't solve. And also another potential application that is really worth looking into is trying to evaluate network intrusion detection system using synthetic traffic. And those two applications will strengthen the case for a replacement of simulation by synthetic traffic generation. Okay, so that ends my presentation. Thank you very much for your listening, and I am willing to take any question you have.
Donc après délibération, il faut se détendre. Si vous stressez, ça ne va pas le faire. Donc le jury a apprécié la présentation qu'il a trouvée claire, dynamique, pédagogique, d'un travail qui porte sur la génération d'ensemble de données synthétiques pour l'évaluation des systèmes de détection d'intrusion dans les réseaux. Donc on a apprécié la motivation apportée pour traiter le problème qui était sur la détection d'intrusion et sur l'innovation. Et aussi tous les travaux qui ont permis la présentation a permis de mettre en exergue les trois contributions de la thèse sur les métriques d'évaluation des générateurs de trafic synthétique et les deux propositions pour des générateurs basés sur les réseaux bayésiens, avec la seconde qui prend en compte les dépendances temporelles. Si on a bien compris. Donc, les membres du jury ont souligné l'importance des contributions apportées et des expérimentations réalisées. Et en particulier, on trouve que ça ouvre la voie à une utilisation innovante des modèles probabilistes et de l'exploration de modèles pour la validation de systèmes de détection d'intrusion dans un environnement réaliste. On a trouvé donc que tu avais répondu avec clarté, assurance et pertinence aux nombreuses questions posées par le jury. Et ces réponses, les réponses apportées, ont permis un éclairage nouveau sur le contenu qui était déjà couvert dans le mémoire de thèse et dans la présentation. Donc on a également, au travers de cette présentation, des réponses aussi Ça a démontré une expertise certaine dans le domaine de la cybersécurité, de la détection d'intrusion et de l'apprentissage automatique pour générer du trafic synthétique. Et donc, pour toutes ces raisons, ça sera dans le toujours, pour toutes ces raisons-là, le jury a décidé de décerner à M. Adrien Chenu le titre de docteur de Centra Supélec en mention informatique, avec toutes nos félicitations.
Je prends la parole. Parce que maintenant, c'est à moi de. C'est à moi de dire quelque chose, donc je vais déjà passer sur le. C'est un morceau. I will go in English for all my acknowledgement and for the profession that I have to make. So, in the presence of my peers, with the completion of my doctorate in computer science in my quest for knowledge, I have carried out demanding research, demonstrated intellectual rigor, ethical reflection, and respect for the principle of research integrity. As I pursue my professional career, whatever my chosen field, I pledge to the greatest of my ability to continue to maintain integrity in my relationship to knowledge, in my methods, and in my results. So, okay, so now I will have maybe take a couple of minutes to say something to the jury, to my supervisor, and to the general audience that is watching here live in this place or on YouTube. So I will keep it in English for a moment and maybe afterwards switch back to French. But so first of all, I would like to thank the jury for their presence here, their remarks over my presentation, and their really interesting questions that allowed me to have for my, according to my personal experience, some new knowledge over my work and some interesting, interesting new track of research. So, for example, implementing an IDS by using the generation method directly by looking at the pattern distribution. So this brought the scope of study even more about this subject. So I would like to thank you all the jury for that. I would also want to specifically thank the reviewer of my manuscript that provided good remarks to the written manuscript, and so thank you for that. So now I will also want to thank my supervising team that were with me during those 3 years and that respond to my questions, that had to send me again and again the same thing to make sure that I understand the basic concept of research and that I can improve my working ability and my methodology. So this was a work for them, and I would like to congratulate them also. This is a teamwork that I am presenting, and so they're part of the team also. Another person of part of the team that I would like to give a special thanks is also Joscha Coopers, which was my partners at CISPA in Germany. And more generally, I would like to thank ILS team for all the reception that I got here. I was really well welcome in this wonderful team of yours, ILS. With many great researchers and many great opportunities. And inside of it, I would like to give a special thanks to Joscha, which is like a really, really good co-worker. I was really impressed by all his knowledge and all his ability to do some great research. And I will also now give also a thanks to the Pirate or Cidre team, and also the Sushi team, and all the team I have worked with here in Centra Supélec. It has been a long journey, but it has been a really, it has been a really important and really, I am really grateful for the journey, all the experiments that I have done with you, all the discussion that raised my scientific awareness and my curiosity. And so, for example, I want to give a special thanks to Frédéric Cronel, who is not here, but with which I had multiple conversations about the state of the world, its origin, and some cosmological discussion that really raised my awareness about the world I live in, and that really increased my curiosity. And so now I just want to. So this was really formal, and now it's the twist part. I have said to my peer that it will be a little formal with the twist, and I just want to give a few sentences to a specific part of the audience here or online. I would like to address a message to the people that will be in my place in a few months, a few years, or even that didn't decide yet to do a PhD and that are thinking about doing a PhD. So if you want to come here, I am really thankful for this work. I think that I made the right decision by doing a PhD. What I wanted to tell you is that statistically, when you look at the number, there is small chance that after your PhD, you will continue to do the same kind of work as you did. Many people that do a PhD in our structure do not continue in academia. So it's maybe the unique opportunity that you will have in your life to work really, to truly appropriate the subject and truly work on it and truly make it your own. And I have my fair share of experience with other parts of academia where you have to convince a VP that the proof of concept is working, where it's not working at all. And this is completely different from the kind of work you are expected to do here, where you have to convince people that have worked 10 years in the domain that your research is new. And I think that this experience of a PhD is really, really important, and it will be, so if you continue after your PhD in academia, you will accumulate more knowledge and more experience about that. But if you go elsewhere, I think this kind of experience will be worthwhile and like make it your own journey. Like you will have, it will be maybe the only opportunity to do this kind of work, and I think it is really important to do it at 100%. So thank you very much for everybody in the general audience, and thank you very much for those online. I would also like to thank my parents.